This is a video unit on Mr. Lee Tigert.
Oh yeah.
How would you spell your name, Mr. Tigert?
Tigert, and my name is Admiral Lee Tigert. So
Emerald
Lee
Tigert. Okay.
I generally just E.L. Tigert.
Since we've got a little outside noise and everything, if you'll talk as well as you can, I mean, as loud as you can, we'll pick it up, I think. Okay. Okay, tell me when you were born, Mr. Tigert.
September 2nd, 1910.
Okay. And the reason we're doing this is you had a very interesting experience of going to the South Pole. Who did you go to the South Pole with?
Admiral Byrd.
Admiral Byrd.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was what year that his expedition went to the South Pole?
Well, this was 1930, 32 to 35. 33, we went in down seas there. We're going down summertime down there.
Okay.
It was 1933-35 expedition. So.
Okay. Tell us something about your life prior to going on this trip with Admiral Byrd.
Well, I left home when I was 16 years old. I wanted to see the world. So I joined the Merchant Marines and run around, looking at other parts of the world. So, I don't know, I guess for luck, Admiral Byrd was coming up right there, around Key West, Florida. We were on a tanker ship coming up from Persian, out of Port Arthur. So, we got to talking to him on radio and talked about that, and I told him, I said, well, you think you'd go down again? He said, yes, I'm going to try to get down there probably 2 years. I said, well, I'm going to be there looking for a job. And just didn't even think it ever would be, around.
You first then talked with Admiral Byrd on the radio before you ever met him?
Yeah, they were talking back and forth with our radio guy.
Okay.
And
all right, tell me something about from the time you were born in 1910 to 1926 when you left home. Where did you live at? Where were you born at? And
I lived at south of Omaha, about just between Omaha and Keeson, right there where the highway goes, Snow Hill, they call it. And then we moved down to Rocky Branch, south of Rocky Branch area. And I was, of course, out on the farm and raised up on the farm. And so.
Well, how come you leave home at age 16?
Pardon?
How come you leave home at age 16?
Well, one of my cousins, he'd been out on the ships, and Elvin Boozer. So he was telling me about it, and I said, okay, yes, go. And he's going back. He said, okay. I said, I'm going with you. So we left out of here on, Thanksgiving Day, 1926. And we hitchhiking right down Texarkana and then on down Port Arthur. And so the reason I say Thanksgiving, we down there that we'd have to get out of Texarkana some way. We asked them, guy would come by and they said, well, come on in and have some Thanksgiving dinner with us. So I said, we sure glad to have that. So we had dinner with them and went on down the road.
How far did you go in education, your education?
Well, very little. I don't think I ever got up to even 6th grade.
Uh-huh. What did your parents say about you leaving home at age 16?
Well, my mother, of course, had passed away when I was little, about 7, 8 years old, I guess. But I still, when I was going to school, that's all I looked at the Charlton. I said, well, I'm going to go there when I get big. So I just took it, wanted to see the world.
What did your dad say about it?
Well, he just thinking I was, just talking. And of course, my dad's young brother, had been in the Navy. So naturally, I was always talking to him. So.
You just had the itch to go, huh?
Just going to look around.
Where were you in the school at the time you left?
Pardon?
Were you in school at the time you left?
Well, I left just before school started out. you know, just during the fall year before it started back in.
Where did you go to on your first Merchant Marine cruise?
We were to New York City. And then we come back for another load. And we got back down to Port Arthur. There was an old ship, and they said they're going to have to strap it. So we said, well, we got to put in 4 rivets in the bottom of the ship. So we ended up, we started out that morning, well, I guess about daybreak. We broke all the hands out, and then we got out, I think, about 11 o'clock at night. And we ended up about 10 rivets put in the ship. Not rivets as bolts with a washer, you know, and put it in. And, well, of course, you wonder how we get it outside the ship. We were down in the pump room. Of course, you can shut most all the water thing off. They'd undo the thing and hit it with a sledgehammer, and Rig wants to knock them out. Well, then we had a rope come up with a weight on it here. That went onto the ship. And so everybody had to pull this rope up and down, you know, then when that come down, we'd throw the rivet out there and it'd sink down, and we'd pull it up. Then we'd tie a bolt on, put it in the same way, and tighten up. So they, sure enough, they did. When we got to New York and then Philadelphia, they come back to tie the ship off, and I thought, well, I'm going to go some other direction. And so, just one ship after another.
Was it hard for a 16-year-old boy to get a job on a ship?
No. Back to Bend is the first time I ever seen a ship, and the first time one of the guys working on this tanker, a Spanish boy, had been on there, and he quit or fired. I don't know what had happened to him, but the guy says, well, we went over to Port Arthur, and he said, we're pretty, my cousin told me, it's pretty bad shipping around here now. So one guy said, well, what does he do, a wiper job? And that's what I ordered down in the engine room. And he said, go back to Beaumont, I'm sure we got one job open over there. And talked to the engineer, and I think he'll use it. So next morning I went down and talked to the engineer, and first time I ever seen a ship or even what it looked like. So, but then after that, it become, well, I wasn't scared of work, and I've been around the water lots. So I mean, you know, the creeks and the ponds. But it seemed it didn't bother me anything. Of course, sometimes you got to seasick.
You were on a ship continually then until 19 and 32, 33 until you met up with Admiral Byrd.
Well, we out from one ship to another, you know, back and forth. Then I went in the Coast Guard 31, and I spent 6 months in the Coast Guard. And then they come along in the Depression time. Well, then the Navy cut down the fleets, so I was one of them to get discharged. So they lined me up there, and I talked my way into a job going around on a National Geographic. They were making lining up their sailing barge, they call it. And well, the guy said, well, if you get discharged, time we leave, he said, I'll give you a job. Well, discharge didn't come through, and so they left. And so I got discharged. And then I heard rumors that Byrd was going. And this guy told me he was up there coming in to New Boston Navy Yard. Well, I know that place. So I went around and got acquainted, and he said, well, Admiral Byrd will be back here in an hour or two. Said he'd be here in person. I waited around, and I introduced myself to him, and I told him, I said, well, I was the guy that hit you up 2-3 years ago about that job. And he says, well, stick around. We've been needing a good guy. And in the meantime, I got on a little tanker, small tanker going from Everett, Washington, up to the Potomac River, way up there, and undischarged gasoline and come back. So I'd happened to taken a bearing out of the ship, and slipped out of hands and cut my finger, so I was off on medical care as far as I go. So I got to going over there and talking to him every day. And,
That's Admiral Byrd.
yeah, Admiral Byrd. He was a lieutenant, then. And, well, they...
Well, how did you just get in to see him? Just walk up to him and start talking to him, or was he in the
Well,
office or around the shipyard, or what?
I was in the Navy Yard. And that's where we'd been. I'd spent about 6 months up there in the Navy Yard. And so this guy, he was a doctor, and he was the one on Byrd Expedition before. He said, well, Admiral Byrd should be back here in a few minutes, so we hit him up. So we come up there, and he said, well, here's Admiral Byrd coming. So I went out there and just hit him. And I explained what I'd done, or what I have done, and my experience of this and that and other. He said, well, says, we are expecting to have we got a big science crew, and we need a big crew on the ship, and stuff like that. So the ship, they call it Jacob Rupert. They
Jacob Rupert?
Yeah, the brewery. And one of the, I think he was on the belonged to the Yankees, did one of the hangers.
I didn't understand that. Tell me that again.
He's, when at that time was Jacob Rupert, Rupert Brewery, and he had something to do with ballparks and the plan.
Rupert Breweries?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so anyway, they come as to hiring help, and he said, well, he took me on right as soon as they got the ship coming on up, and we went down and got this old ship in the mothball. There's a big old lumber, used to be a lumber ship, used to run the west coast and back. And so it was a big ship and had a lot of room, so that would be good for Admiral Byrd, because ended up we had, a whole big bunch of everybody out there.
How many people did y'all have going down?
Well, I think we had, I won't be sure, it seemed like it was 144 on the Rupert alone. Science and helpers and dog team and a bunch of other tractors. Guys had some experience. Most of them have been training for their jobs before, they got off.
Okay. That was 1932 that you got the commitment on the job then.
Yeah.
Let me back up a little bit. During your Merchant Marine days and when you were in the Coast Guard, what kind of pay did a 16-year-old kid get?
Well, at that time, for instance, the wiper, that was the smallest job on there. It was supposed to be the least that I had. We got $45 a month room and board. Then the fireman, he got $60, and the water tender and oiler got $72.50 a month.
Okay. What'd you get when you were in the Coast Guard?
Coast Guard, I think it was $32, I think, some cents, something like that.
Okay. Byrd's expedition was paid for by the U.S. government, wasn't it?
Well, and volunteered. He had a lot of volunteer donation and a lot of different firms and different things.
But he paid his crew, or at least he paid a part of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, see, when we were in port, we got $5 a day for money in port, and so that taken care of most of it. Of course, on the Jacob Rupert, all day furniture and clothes and everything was supplied to us, and so that.
Okay. Where did he depart from? What?
Well, we left.
Where did he put his ship together and his crew and provision and everything?
We got that most of it in Boston Navy Yard.
Massachusetts?
Yeah, Massachusetts. And then we went down we picked up some stuff in Virginia. We picked up a little in New York City when we were there. Then we went to Virginia, and then Panama Canal, we picked up a bunch of fruit and stuff there. And then from Panama to Easter Island, and of course...
Y'all went through the Panama Canal?
Yeah.
Okay, and then over to the Easter Islands, and is that your jumping off spot?
Well, we were trying, sort of killing time. the Bear of Oakland, she was an old sailing ship. And
What was the name of the sailing ship again?
Bear of Oakland. She used to be a icebreaker run up in.
How do you spell that name?
B-A-I-R-R-U, let's see, Bear of Oakland. That's what I'm sorry.
Okay. Then you were waiting on her. It was a sailing ship, you say?
Yeah, she was an old sailing ship and steam.
And steam. That's how she broke ice, was with steam.
Yeah. And see, Byrd was, they were, well, I seen those ship in San Francisco in Oakland Bay. And they were trying to buy it, and the guy had bought it some second-handed, and he didn't want to sell it. So they sort of, a little bit extra money, and they bought it, got it fixed, and it turned out to be, in fact, this saved the ship and saved us all the crew there. He was running in and out Antarctic, and had a doctor that got sick and had to come out. So we called up New Zealand, and they found a Maori doctor, and the New Zealand government run him down there on
Maori.
Yeah, Maori.
M-A-U-R-I.
Yeah.
Well, that's a native.
Native. Yeah.
Okay.
And so then, of course, Rupert had to go back up and get the New Zealand Navy, brought him down to the edge of the ice, and then the Bear of Oakland had to go get him, and then they got back in, and then we were getting pretty close to freezing in then time we left. And
when did y'all set sail out of Boston, and when did you arrive down at Easter Islands? And was Easter Islands where you changed out?
Well, that was we were trying to kill time. In other words, see, the Bear of Oakland, she got smashed up in heavy seas right there coming out of Virginia there, and then to fix her up, the fact of it is we just loaded about 300 tons of coal on it for steam and all that, and a lot of that got down in the bilges and didn't get cleaned out. So when the ship come and stick in water, well, it almost went down with it.
300 tons of coal. That was on the main ship?
Yeah. Rupert was the supply ship and the main ship there. And so then they unloaded and got her up. We went on down to Panama, and we had to lay there for several days in Panama. And then we went on to Christmas Island, and we going to look around there, kill a few days. And sure enough, they got on, and they were headed on through to New Zealand. And we stopped at Christmas Island, Pitcairn Island, then went on down to...
You stopped at Pitcairn?
Yeah. And we just...
Do you know the history of Pitcairn Island?
Yeah.
Mutiny on the Bounty.
Yeah, the Mutiny on the Bounty. I worked with a bunch of them boys. In fact, in New Zealand, they come out there during the war.
All of them in the name of Christian, just about it, weren't they?
Yeah, Vince Young, mother, grandmother, was on one of the guy married from Mutiny on the Bounty.
Is that right?
And then the Fletcher, supposed to have been, the movie Captain. Well, they had about six boys and one girl or two girls. Well, anyway, they were all over in New Zealand. They were about starved to death out there. They had plenty of fish, plenty of stuff, and plenty. They worked and had a lot of garden, but they didn't have the final stuff, that needed, So all them British ships come in, they would blow a whistle, and everybody would hear it, and they grabbed up everything they wanted to sell and take it down there. Bananas and different things like that. They'd come down and, swap it.
What'd they trade the ship for? Flour and that sort of thing, or what?
Yeah, well, more or less, if they could get some, say, oil or, household stuff, something, And then, of course, if they could sell it for a few dollars, well, they'd buy us more stuff. And anyway, we got in New Zealand, and then we had to take the Condor plane off, and they brought in some timbers.
What was the Condor plane?
Well, it was one of them two prop plane. Sort of big plane is well, the Condor, I think is the name of it, I believe, the company.
Was it a seaplane?
Well, we had pontoon for sea, and then we had skis for the snow and wheels for the land. Change them around. And but out there, see, them Fletcher boys, they were all out there in New Zealand, because then they could get south and probably get it back to Pitcairn Island.
Okay. When were you down then at Pitcairn Island? Let's go back and pick up when you left Boston.
Well, we left Boston. We stopped. Well, let's see. We went into Boston, then Quantico, Virginia Navy Yard. We loaded up there. Then we left there. We, I think, Wilmington, Delaware. We pulled in for a little. South Carolina, pulled in there for some, I don't know, a little checkup on or something, I don't know. Then we went to, through the canal and Panama City, you know. And of course everybody, the guys hadn't been around there down looking at Panama places. But we then, back to Pitcairn Island, we pulled in there one afternoon just before dark. And they built up a big fire and so they serious, because they make a living by trading, you know, ship coming in. Well, so we stayed out all night that night, sort of patrolling up and down. Next morning, the natives come out there, and then the governor of the island, "Hi, welcome, me friend, welcome." So they.
Well, they're half English and half South Sea Islander, aren't they?
Well, a lot of them was from Chilean government. See, if Chile guys, they steady giving a guy life in prison, they sent him in Pitcairn Island.
Oh, it was a penal colony?
Yeah. In other words, he had to go over there. If he didn't work, he didn't live. And they all turned out they were good workers, happy-go-lucky people. And the British ship come down there and load a bunch of cows on them, take them in and sell them. And then, of course, they always swapping stuff. They want to give you something for a pair of pants, a shirt, or something like that. And but people were very friendly and very nice. And the only thing, though, we got stuck there, the natives come back there and they'd wanted, we had that there windproofing for trail markers, you know, that there young, that the guys wanted for his wife a girl's shirt, a dress. And they would do anything or steal anything they could if they get it. But they're, you know, in other words, most of it was given to them, but still, you know, our bird concern, they just got it off anyway. But then we pull out of there, and then the Bear Falkland, she had to come there and pull off Side Island and load the coal. And we had to dump a bunch of coal on her. And then we took off and she come on down the fires. And she got into New Zealand then.
What were y'all using the coal for? Steam-fired engines?
Yeah. Yeah, see, the old Bear Falkland was steam and sail. And
was she still running her sails?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever happened to that ship? Do you know whatever happened to both of them?
Well, one of the members of the Byrd expedition bought the Bear Falkland when he got back. And he was going to go, and he did take it down in Antarctica, but he was mostly sightseeing, well, not sightseeing, but testing places and harbors and places, you know, thing up it. And old Rupert, she went back turning her back into New York as on the thing. And I think she was leased out again because she was pretty good fixed up. And see, we put an inch plate of steel up on the bow. And of course, iron ship has no protection at all against, you know, storm. But she could get up there and push in easy and sort of get it out of the road. And but we went all up and down there, and we seen a lot of icebergs, but it could cut through our hull just like a knife.
What? Okay, then this is 32. Must have been
Getting up to 33. Yeah.
getting on up in 33 by the time you got actually down to Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, we got in just before we made a several flight turn. Then we would head to 160th margin, southeast. And on Christmas Day, they call it the Devil's Graveyard. You could count 200 icebergs anywhere, just any way you want to look.
Where was that located off of? Like in the Argentina, Chile, or what?
No, that would be in the ice pack of Antarctica.
Okay.
In other words, we were running in, found a little place we'd get in, and the Navy gave us one of them there Navy lounge, you know, open deck, and where all the crew go ashore on Liberty boat. Well, we had that to get in and out off of the Byrd or whatever it is, and it come in handy. So we put it off, then the plane would land down on the water. They would tow it to wherever they could get out of the reach of the iceberg, you know. Then they would cut it loose, and they'd have the plane warmed up and got off. And so
Take off on what? The water?
well, water, and then get up out past them iceberg. That's the, in other words, try to get her out as very quick as could. So we went around to
What was the plane flying for? Reconnaissance?
yeah.
Okay.
We went around, then we got around to 160 margin, and then we had to head back for. Then the ice had cleared up enough that we practically went full speed ahead after we got out of up the pack. Then we rushed straight into Little America, and then in Little America, of course, bay was opening up pretty good, but still, you get in there, and then tonight, today, or sometime might come a big break. We had to clear out and get out.
What month was it that you got into Little America?
Well, that'll be December 33.
December 33.
Yeah.
So y'all spent Christmas of 1933 in Little America.
Well,
Tell us about Little America. What was Little America?
Well, Little America that was a headquarter for 1928-29 expedition, and they left a lot of their supplies and stuff there. And it's a pretty good place to live. It's sort of a frozen bay, and we didn't have too many high mountains or icebergs, you know. But Little America, I got over there. I went over by my own, you know, looking at her. She had on a stove. Somebody had a big steak there, and it hadn't been used or anything. I looked at it and I said, "Boy, I'm going to heat that thing up, heat it." So it was all right, and nothing wrong. And tobacco cans or anything, you know, used to smoke that Prince Albert bottle. Wouldn't have been nothing, no rush, nothing.
Huh.
And so we trying to get the Little America fixed, trying to unslide, and then all the tractors running in, tearing stuff over. But first, see, then us as
Did y'all build a base camp there at Little America?
Yeah.
You brought construction equipment along to do with it.
Yeah, most of what we, yeah. See, Jacob Rupert sitting out in the bay, well, she was just sitting there, that iceberg loose. So we had to, it broke along the barrier about 7 miles when we was right there at it. We had to pull off and cut a line loose and back out. And the guy figured about 400 tons of ice, what some of the guys experienced figured. And that stuff, they'd come back, we got back way up on the backside.
Little America was sitting on an ice wall then, or was it on land?
No, it's flat.
Or is Antarctica totally underwater?
Oh, no, it's a lot of land there. There's a lot of land.
Well, did you ever see any land, or was it all just snowed over?
No, you could see it. It's in summertime, a lot of it got down, and you could see. They found shrubbery. Found a palm tree. Been in there, a palm tree fort. You know, when it changed in time, I guess. and they found coal and many things like that.
Coal deposit, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, coal up on a hill wasn't hard worth nothing. It just dried out, you know. But some of it down there was really pretty cold.
Okay. What did y'all? You built this? You built Little America, which was a base camp. How far was that from the South Pole?
Well, let's see. I won't be for sure about that. It's around 560 miles, I think. It's,
Okay.
and
So.
of course, where you had to take a tour, detours around. Well, it'd be good.
Okay. What about the base camp that y'all built? What did you use? The Little America that was already there? Did you build some more, or what?
We used that, and we were glad to get it. We built in some more more airplane hangars, more wind repair shops, and it was crew quarters in most all in Little America, and let's see, I think they had 62 or 65 guys there. I think now it might be over and up or down, I'm not sure. But they got that fixed. Then they dug out places to build the planes, and then they dug tunnels in there, and you made snow blocks out of them and put them up. So that made a good place in the wintertime, just freeze it up. And
So y'all went in there basically to get Little America. It was sitting on ice or not?
yeah. Yeah, we found definitely it was on ice. It like to broke away and went out when we were unloading stuff. Tractors running over there, and you could see the around the whole Little America's big cat. And after we got out there, they broke through in a 35-foot crest, you know, and one tractor broke down and was down on the crest, and they finally got it out. And but you could see down in there, just looked like miles, just blue,
Clear ice.
clear ice. And that old blue ice, man, it was hard.
Okay, and then y'all just got everything off the ship and set up camp at Little America.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was getting well up, and you see the winter's kind of setting in pretty good before we ever got up. We had to unload stuff out on the ship and set it down. Then the crew and the members and everybody, anything way you could, you had to get that stuff back out a couple blocks. Well, tomorrow, ice break here, we had to go back about a little more. And they loaded them our tractors, and we got some real good little tractors, and they'd go up there and load it and run over and unload it, and just like that, back and forwards. And we had 6 stowaways in New Zealand. And
6 stowaways.
yeah, New Zealand people. And then they
What were they? The natives or what?
Born in New Zealand. They'd be English and Welsh. So went up there, and they said, Byrd said, well, what are you going to do? Send you back? He said, I ain't got enough food and clothes for you. Well, says, we ain't got either. We ain't got nothing either. And so they turned out to be good little workers. They wanted to go just experience, and they enjoyed
The
it.
young people or what?
Yeah, I think about 19, several around 20. Well, I think the one there, I think about 18 years old. And of course, one of our boys, he was the youngest, live out there in West Texas. He was 17 years old.
Were there any women that went on this trip?
No, this one. They went down on that there Byrd, when the Navy went to deep sea, you know, down there. They had 2 women on that ship.
Before or after?
After. That's after we come back.
Did anyone get hurt or killed or anything on this?
Well, one guy they operated on and done quite a bunch of stuff like that. Some of them were pretty well hurt, but the guy that died was actually, he come back into New Zealand and drank himself to death. In other words, alcohol, and drunk. And so then out there, you know, we had two of them, the Weather Bureau guy and then also this guy. And so we slip him a little knockout and get him short and get him soaked. But this guy wouldn't come down at the first, second time. And he's had a family in around Boston, Massachusetts. But no, they come through as best I'm sure we didn't have any casualty, any deaths, actual on ice.
Well, after you got the base camp set up, by winter time, what did y'all do the winter of 34, 33, 34 then?
Well,
I mean, really it's 34.
In other words, they were, when four left, all them science guys and all their dog drivers, they were making up harness, making up sleds, making all this. Then down there, then they had to repair the sleds, get the horses, dogs ready, and look after dogs, and had a bunch of them, you know, science guys, you know, look up and the lights and all that. And they were kept busy, and then as soon as they got free of running back and forth on the moving kept, they were running down there right up till after Christmas that year. Well, no, it was March. It froze up where they could get around, but you run out there, and now and again when them icebergs crack open, and then you just, where you look down on there, and you had a bridge about that so high down in, and you froze it up, and then tractors break it up, track it go down.
Okay, when did he make the trip then to the pole?
Well, see, the first time Byrd flew, he flew down there in 1928 or 29 on that expedition. And then he flew down, they went over enough to find, see that Little America was still there. And
when was the first time he went to the pole?
First time would be in 1929, I think, when Ellsworth and Byrd were both down there in little ships. And
well, when was Little America built there?
Well, that'd be built there. Went down there in the fall of '72 and come out in the spring '70. No, 27. Then they come out 29. See, they nearly 2 years.
Oh, so that was the first trip.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's when he built Little America. Okay. So it's March and it's freezing over. I mean, it's you got winter coming in. Did y'all just set the winter out, or what did you do next?
Well, every guy had his own term. Once we got sort of rid of all that running back and forth, and dogs they about dead, and the guys was, and the tractor just about run out.
Well, what were they doing? Just
repairing, getting ready.
Okay.
And then if they had they could every night movie, or they can go look at the stars or whatever you want to. And,
what kind of weather did you have down there? Was it cold even during the summertime?
Well, no, we had some weather was up above freezing, and in fact, the business when we unloaded it was 40, 45.
Is that right?
And you get in there, and sometimes, well, everybody put on too much clothes first, especially us guys didn't know. Then you sweat. When you sweated, that made you cold, freezing. And see, then Byrd went back to New Zealand, was flying out over the pole and back to New Zealand, making trips like that. I really don't know the year that was. Well, it's after we came back from second expedition. But they got a made.
He was taking the plane and flying over the pole?
Yeah.
That had enough range to go down to the pole and come back?
Yeah.
560 miles or so?
Yeah. And see, while you'd, of course, you hit down there and back while you didn't, or you just, but they had some, I got the record in there somewhere. He was a pilot flying in New Zealand. Well, they built a monument up in Dunedin, New Zealand, and one in Port Chalmers, New Zealand, in memory of Byrd and flight up and down there. Well, Byrd then was surveying as he went back and forth of the range and places where the dog team had, you know, say this and that type of thing. But they come out of there good, and I think they found a lot of good stuff. Found out coal and found out minerals there, and found out up in that there where Byrd flew over the one of them is Ellsworth, some of them guys, the name of it anyway. And but they had a bunch of science on there studying, you know, the geologists or whatever it was, you know, looking in there. Back to then, they say practically all day, all night, you'd see somebody up there sitting in their chair looking up.
It wasn't cloudy all the time. It was pretty clear then.
Pardon?
It was pretty. The air was pretty clear then.
Well, yes, there's some lesson it got down low, but most of the time it's up high, and then once it froze down, it's pretty real clear, you know, comparison.
Well, when did he start? Did he went over land with dog sleds to the pole?
No.
He just flew over it.
Yeah. Talking about the dog team.
What was the dog team for then?
Well, they would go out on. They'd give them, you go down so far and go out on Ellsworth Island and go out on this island on Queen Maud Range and check here. And so they go checking. But the three boys, 1, 2, 3, 4 boys, was down there checking and running that thing. They got Byrd was saying to them, come on, well, Byrd wasn't, the guys in the camp said, come on in, we're about to have to break up and get out. And he says, well, they kept us stalling them off. And they said, well, we a bit, we this and that and other. So they got within 65 miles of the pole. And they were.
With the dog sleds?
Yeah. So they said, well, come on, let's go on down the pole so we can get back in time to Rupert there. Well, the boys finally, kept getting radio signal. Well, Rupert's come in, and now you got to come in and unload this stuff. We got to send a party out for you. And so the guys really sort of figured, well, they better get back in.
They never did go on down to the pole then?
No, but they could have made it easy, because they had plenty of supplies, and which that's mostly dog team had that there, up there.
But Byrd's expedition, his second expedition, did he land at the South Pole or just flew over?
Well,
you know,
I think he made it. They made a land in that time. I'm sure he did. Because it looked sort of like it's drowned if you, of course, you held the little heels and thing, and they could circle around enough to tell where they got them. They put the wheels, and where the wheels go through this pontoon thing, and pontoon go down. Well, let's say your seat sinking down in snow too much, and so I'm pretty sure they did. Of course, I was back in New Zealand, and
how did you end up back in New Zealand?
well, we see the ship. We went back in Rupert to spend the winter in New Zealand.
Okay.
And so we got it back in New Zealand, I think around the 1st of March or something like that.
So you weren't down there in the middle of the winter?
Yeah.
What y'all do in New Zealand?
We had to repair, clean up the ship, try to repaint it up and fix up everything, everything was left up in a mess. We had to clean all that up, clean up the ship, paint it up a little bit to get a respect for them. And the engine room, checking up all the ship and bearing, engine, that's one of them old steam engines,
Run off of coal?
Yeah.
Then y'all went back in after him when? Y'all came out in March?
No, yes, it was in March, I guess around last March. And we went back next year. Well, it was after Christmas and New Year, but I don't remember exactly what month, what day of the month we went back.
This is in 34.
Yeah.
Then y'all stayed down there until when?
Well, we went in there and we got loaded, practically everything got out as quick as good. They had the planes over there and had most of the supplies over, and Rupert had them great long old booms. Then they had Bear Oakland in there. She'd been searching all up and down places, finding new places to get. So all of them got together and working around the clock. And they got the planes on, the Dog Kings on, and
What month was that?
uh,
That was after y'all came back from New
I
Zealand.
imagine that was must have been in April 8th. Well,
That would have been 35?
yeah, 35.
Okay. So y'all left them for about a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What kind of jobs did you have? What all did you do while you were on this trip?
Well, I worked in the engine room for most of the time. Then when they come out, they didn't have enough spare deckhands, you know, and them guys working there, they didn't want it. So I changed over one of the guys that coming back to the States, and so he took my place in oil, and I went on deck, worked on deck coming back.
Did you mention someone one time something about they produced their own milk or something on? Did you have a cow on there or something?
Yeah, 3 cows.
Had 3 cows.
Yeah, they some big dairy farm up in Wisconsin somewhere gave us 3 cows, and one of them was bred to hoping she'd born in Antarctica. Well, they were doing good. We were getting a lot of milk off of them, and just enjoying it. And then this calf, before we were in the Arctic and running around ice. So the plane come back in, and they said, well, Kid and Byrd says, well, if you're going to get them cows in Antarctica, you better fly them in, because it's coming up a breeze, you know, here. Well, we couldn't get them, but we brought them up there, and that's where I got in pretty good with Byrd too. I was running around there, and I was working down in the engine room, and I work all day, and then 12 hours, then come up 12 hours I would take. So the kid, he was from out west, and he was supposed to be a cowboy, you know, and I guess he knowed around the farm, I guess. Well, anyway, we got, they hollered and wanted to get me down. I said, come on down and help us with these here cows, get them down off the ship and down on ice. So the little bull, he was quite a little contrary. And
The little calf that had been born.
yeah, he was, you know, growing up pretty, couple of times, you know, getting pretty good size. Well, one cow, the mother of a calf, she was laying down that winter sometime and got pneumonia and had to kill her. But anyway,
Y'all eat her?
I think between the dogs and them, they ate her up like that. And then they got up, and so I got that old cow, and I hadn't talked to her all the time. I went up there and haven't talked to her and fooled around with her. And I just grabbed her by her neck, because her name was Klondike. I said, now come on, Klondike, now let's go on up here and give her a little hand, say hey. And she followed me up, and you know, we were a little encouraging. Got out there, and we had 3 big telephone poles, all grid long ones, so we could put them down and then make about an 8-foot walkway run down there to work at tractor. And so she didn't like first, wanted to go, and I encouraged her up. I said, come on down. So she went down. Then when the other cow followed her down, then the little bull, he finally got where he figured, well, I better follow her, you know, shut him over. But to her, he was little bull, they called him Iceberg. And they were going to fly him from back from Boston, Massachusetts, to up in Minnesota. And it had put a name as the Flying Bull. And
But they wanted to use it for breeding purposes, or what?
I mean, just they just wanted something to say. Well, there was a good-looking calf.
Did you? When did you get back into United States from this trip? Latter part of '35.
Yeah, I think it's around September, I believe. Well, I think about September when I left. We had unloaded a bunch of stuff in New Boston. You see, we had Navy.
About Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Boston. I'm sorry. They had these here. Well, I don't know where was that.
You got back in.
Yeah. Well, we had the Navy Yard let us have 300 ton, 350 tons of anchor chains laying around the Navy Yard to take as ballast. So we put that back in the ship, you know, there number 5 hole. Then we'd be down in the water so the iceberg wouldn't get up there and tear our blade off. So we had to go back to New Boston, unload that anchor chain back to the Navy, and then a bunch of other stuff, and first a bunch of the guys getting off, and then we took it back down to New York and put it back up on the postpone.
Did you have any contact with Admiral Byrd after the expedition?
Yeah, I guess about 5 or 6 years I letter from him now and again. And I married a New Zealand girl before I left, and
when was it? When did you marry her?
1935 in Springfield.
Okay, that's when you got back, though.
No, I married a New Zealand girl.
I know, but I mean,
well, that's
you married her in '35. You married her while you were wintering there.
Yeah, no, see, no, well, I'll take it back. We come back, and in New Zealand, then flying up, cleaning up, and killing a little time. Of course, the old Barra program had to be going slow. She had only do about 5 miles an hour, and we could do maybe 10. And so she came on up and loaded up. We loaded her, and she went on out. Then we hung around New Zealand for a week or so, and then we took out on that.
But when did you get married, though?
I guess it's in February of that year, but 1935, I imagine. I think it was.
And did you go back to New Zealand then, or did she come out with you on the ship, or what?
Well, she came up on during when we were at World War II. Well, a lot of the Navy ships are down there in New Zealand, and all the passenger ship was taken as a cruise ship, you know, for carrying people back and forth. So she got a passage on one of the Mariposas, old Matson Line boat out there in the West Coast. But then they had to go and get a bunch of soldiers, and bring him back in, and so they transfer all passengers off that. And then they were on Laurelene first, and then they framed her up on Mariposa the second time. So then the wife and the boy came back into the United States.
I know, but you married her in '35, and then you jumped to 1940-41, or was it earlier? When did she come to the States, or did you go to New Zealand and live, or what?
Yeah, well, I was out there in New Zealand about 7 years altogether, I think it was.
Okay, after the Byrd expedition.
And Byrd.
You came back to Boston with them, and then went
Yeah.
to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Byrd, he come. Well, Marine sergeant was running up and down that. And he says, we are down there, and he said, "Hey," he said, "I was running across your boss a while ago." I said, "Who's that?" "Admiral Byrd." I said, "Oh, you crazy?" He said, "No," said he was up when we took her up to Parliament Building. And sure enough, after that, he called him up and done it.
When was that?
That was in 36, 36, I guess, in the middle of 36. Well, no, he's 37. And so Admiral Byrd went out to see his representative out there, and he called me up and says, well, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you. And so he said I was on a white mission, didn't, you know, quite about it, they wouldn't let talk about tell about it. So he was, went down there, I guess, on a mission for the Army and Navy.
Well, when did Byrd die?
Now, that got me. I really...
Did he go through World War II?
Yes. He, I didn't know it till later. Somebody told me about it. He died off. He was buried in Arlington Cemetery in New York, Washington, D.C.
But your wife and, was it your son you said that came up then to the States? What did you do during the war?
Well, in the war, of course, it was going on there in New Zealand. I was working out there. And then when New Zealand took over American Army, we had a division. They had, in other words, they were, New Zealand guy was out there working ashore, and New Zealand sort of flight them. And they were telling me, well, if you don't stay on the job, well, if I didn't like the job, I just went over some other. And I was see out there before the war come in, and well, actually for Pearl Harbor. And so I figured, well, I hang around here, I'm a bit drafted into their army, you know, and so I just said, well, I took off with that. And I came back on the Lurleen, which is a troop ship, and I stored away, and well, all them solo Marines and everybody come along, they all hollered, and I worked down there and bringing stuff by the ship. And I hollered, hey, Tex, everybody texts down there. And so, well, come on. And I says, boys, I tempt pretty good. Come on, we'll put you aboard the ship, and you look like a Marine, nobody ever knows the difference.
So they dressed you up like a Marine?
Yeah, well, well, I was wearing more or less Marine clothes and all that around there. I was working all the ships flying. And, but anyway, I come down, I went up to the ship there and asked the guy who wanted supplies and everything there. And went on down, they had 4 guys in a room down there, way down close to the galley, you know, way down below. We got a room here for you, we'll put you down. And actually nobody knew it when he went on ashore in San Francisco and didn't nobody know it.
You used the mess hall and everything?
But when I joined, when I was putting in application to bring my wife up from New Zealand, they got writing down these things, and they write back to me, well now, so-and-so don't work right, you don't work right, something, you know. And I figured out, and I worked, and I tried to figure out. And pretty soon they'd send me another paper. Fill this in right, and the United States government, this part of the United States, you got to put the truth down. And I'd go up and just tell them what I did, and you know what I mean, just tell them when you leave New Zealand, when you arrive, and when you first shift out. And I told them all that right there. And then they kept on about it, and so then they. Bunch of them, I got a notice from the FBI to come down there in San Francisco and said, the FBI wants to talk to you, they want you down there now. And so I went down there and went around, they had 10 or 12 guys here and some around here, and they were asking me questions, others asking me questions. And I told them, I said, now look, I don't know where you guys just dumb or you're kidding me around. What? I says, you asked me the questions and I put them down right, and I can prove what it is. He said, well, you said you come out of New Zealand on Lurleen. I says, right. Well, we checked the crew list and passenger list, and we couldn't, you didn't want none in it. I said, no. And, well, how are you in New Zealand? I said, I stored away. See, I had American Marine papers and had American thing. So, and they all got together and, all right, go home. Don't say nothing about this. And so right away my wife thing come in.
Well, how many children do you have?
One boy and girl.
One boy and girl. They still alive?
They're out there in California.
Yeah. Is your wife, first wife?
Well, she passed on there in San Francisco. She had her breast operation and never did really recover of that.
How long was that then?
Well, I'd have to stop and, well, let's see.
A long time ago.
Well, that'd be, oh, I guess 44, somewhere along there.
So you had 3 young kids to raise?
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. Do you ever have? Do you know of any of the other crew that went on the expedition that's still alive?
Yes, well, the first place, the guy on morning news is Guy Hudson, Jack Hudson, on radio in Dallas, that station out there between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Jack Hudson?
Yeah. He was a pilot, and
well, he's pretty old now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's about 1 year older than I am. And of course, I'm 75.
That's 75. You're born in 1910.
Yeah. Okay. And there's a couple others. One was down here in Texarkana, and he was one of them airplane to sit down and fly up over something, one of them a little bitty plane, jet
pilot?
Yeah, thing, you fly up over a building,
Helicopter?
Yeah. One of them things, he was flying them. He was out there in New Zealand, smashed up, down in the Antarctic, smashed up, but I think right now, as far as I know, is...
It was auto gyro. They didn't have the helicopters.
Yeah,
it's just auto gyro because they didn't have the helicopter until late 1940s, or mid 1940s.
I believe the last account I had is 10 of us still live.
10?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for an hour, so I guess I've about exhausted you.
I'm sure.
The date that this was made was November the 11th, 1985. Sunday afternoon, about between 2 and 3 p.m.
Well, I hope I done it so good.
Well,
A fox down here close to outside Beaumont. He lived down there, and I used to help him lots and let him go ashore. And so I got one of them, and he said, "You've been helping me a lot," and he said, "I'm going to give you a medal for it." So I got that one. I've been sort of cleaned up. It would seem probably a little better. Shows a little better.
this medal was given to you for your expedition down there in 1933, 1935. Okay, the item you're holding in your hand there is what? Tell me about that.
That's Byrd expedition. Beaver have to call it up there.
And that's I think you told me that was the hat that Admiral Byrd wore.
Admiral Byrd wore, yeah.
Okay. Take it and turn it around so we can see it real well. What kind of skin is that?
I believe it's a beaver.
Beaver.
Or something.
How did you get a hold of that?
Well, when the expedition over with, and I asked him, sort of, well, I'm going to steal that head off of you. He said, well, wait till I get off this. So, I think more or less he was, didn't care much.
Okay, put it on so we can see what it looks like. It gets pretty warm pretty fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, especially on years.
Okay.
Get down that. Then of course you got your Parker on over this windproof, and that way them little Parkers are thin, but they bring awful good stuff.
They were made out of seal skin, weren't they?
Yeah. And this they use it for trail marking and everything else like that, but boy, they were really light and windbreak and get that wind out of it.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Tigert. We appreciate you giving me the time and working with me on this.